Hello, friends, and welcome to Virtual Strangers 46. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend, Ruuts. Ruuts, how has the week been treating you?
Good. 46, man. Time is flying. I say this every week, but I don't know. It just feels like every other week we got some kind of new coronavirus or some kind of weird thing going on. Making time fly
Yeah,
by, right?
that's true. It just seems like a few days ago we were just talking about this stuff, and here we are back again. Pretty much just going to pick right up where the Monday show left off. But before we get to that, before we get to this past week's Monday show, let's talk for a moment about next week's Monday show, because what we're going to do this week as a planned delay. Instead of doing the Monday show on Monday, we're going to do the Monday show on Tuesday, and that is for a very good reason that we can't tell you
Mm-hmm.
right now. Uh, there are cool things happening next week, and we can't talk about it on Monday, so we decided to wait until Tuesday to do the show. So be just sure to tune in on Tuesday to the Monday show. We're going to have some really cool things to talk about. We're going to have a few keys to give away. So be sure not to miss it. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in. And for those of you, of course, new to the channel, be sure to click the subscribe button. Click that bell. That way you'll be sure to be notified when the Monday show goes live, as well as all of our other content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. Roots, I'm pretty excited for this one, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, me too. Anytime we have something like we have coming up on Tuesday, I get psyched. So,
Yeah, and it's just like a out of nowhere type thing. Like I woke up this morning and boom, just gets dropped right in my lap. Here's this awesome piece of news. Here are these keys. Have fun. Go to town.
yeah.
And it's our friends in the developer community never cease to amaze me with how generous they've been with us and how helpful they've been with helping us grow our channel. So
Yeah.
thank you. You know who you are. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and you'll know who they are too on Tuesday.
Right.
Oh.
On the Monday show, Tuesday. All right. Anyway, that's enough about next week's Monday show. Let's get back to this past week's Monday show, where we talked about the coronavirus and how it may possibly stop VR in its tracks. You know, VR was dead for the longest time, and then over the last year, we've seen VR climb to new heights. You know, the public's excited about VR. Everybody knows what VR is. Everybody wants VR. They can't get it right now, and coronavirus seems to be making it so that it may be a while before they get it right.
Yeah, and that's what's so frustrating is, like I said last time, Monday, is everybody, we had the drought because of supply and demand. They started catching back up. Everyone got all excited. Everything felt good again, and then the drying up started to happen a little bit at a time. And it's funny, Wes, is like people were like shitting all over me yesterday on Reddit, literally saying that our episode was wrong, and then today we get a whole bunch of news saying that everything that we were worried about is starting to happen. And I just wanted to say suck it to all those people that are out there that probably never even know who I am. But it's frustrating. When you get downvotes over something stupid, it just gets irritating to me. It makes me want to just upturn the tables and go home.
Yeah. Well, anybody who watches our channel for more than 5 minutes know that we're the eternal optimists. You know, if we're saying something might be a problem, then it's probably going to be a problem. And I think we called this one, hit it pretty much on the head. Now, what kind of long-term effect is it going to have? Only time will tell. Hopefully not much. But in the short term, we're starting to see the effects now, because just this past Tuesday, Sony pulled out of PAX East, and Sony revealed a while back that they were going to be attending PAX East, that they were going to be bringing a handful of VR games with them, including Gorn, Iron Man VR, Paper Beast, The Room VR, and Space Channel 5. All this stuff was supposed to be playable at PAX East, But we just found out a couple of days ago that Sony, due to concerns over the coronavirus, will not be attending PAX East. And this is notable because we're not talking about going to Hong Kong or Shanghai to a trade show. This is in Boston, Roots, and they're concerned enough about it to sit this one out, and I think that's pretty telling.
Yeah, that actually is really is telling, and should open a lot of people's eyes as to how far this is already affecting outside of China. And these companies, you imagine the last thing you would want to have happen is send your people out and bring back the coronavirus to your studio or to all your people. Because let's be honest, is as bad as it is to see it happening around the world to other people, like nobody wants this shit coming in their front door. It's like, stay away from me. So there is a lot of paranoia. I think it's good paranoia. It's not good timing for sure, especially for Sony. They really needed to showcase their stuff. And there's a lot of good things. Actually, every single one of those outside of Gorn, and I only say Gorn because I've played it a million times, but all of those are big titles, right? Somebody today was just raving about Space Channel 5 in the Discord and just saying how awesome it is. Got me psyched for it. So I don't know.
Oh, I don't know either, Roots. It's a story-driven dance game, but that's another story for another day. I've worked at a few different places in my life, and for the most part, every place I've ever worked at, they've all said the same thing, and that is safety is number one. We always want to be safe, and that's pretty much what we're seeing Sony do here. They did release a statement. We felt this was the safest option as the situation is changing daily. We are disappointed to cancel our participation in this event, but the health and safety of our global workforce is our highest concern. So if you put it like that, Roots, and when you take into consideration that PAX East isn't really an industry event, it's a fan expo. This is so that the fans can play the games. It's kind of understandable, right?
Yeah, there's no reason to put your whole company at risk, not for, like you said, just to let the fans check out the stuff. So
right. So that was early on in the week, and it wasn't a great surprise to me because, like I said, it's a fan expo. It's not really a high level industry event. So of course it would make sense that Sony would want to be overly cautious with that. Well, fast forward another day or two, and just this past Thursday, we get the news that not only Sony, but Sony as well as Facebook have both announced that they will not be attending the annual Game Developers Conference in San Francisco next month, Roots, over, again, coronavirus concerns. GDC has historically been a key event for both Facebook, Oculus, and Sony, with major announcements and previews of what would come for each company's VR ventures throughout the whole entirety of the next year. This is a big deal, Roots. If they're setting out GDC and it's still over a month away, they've got to be very concerned about it because unlike PAX East, this is a industry insider event that pretty much sets the tone for the entire rest of the year.
Yeah, I was reading Facebook said they at least were going to be at this one remotely, or they're gonna have a presence. They're just not they're gonna do it from a distance, which I would imagine, like I was saying last time, a lot, maybe they do it in VR. I don't know, man. Like we're gonna see a lot more things start to become more online than be in person. And some of these things you don't need to fly across the world and be there in person to do it anyway, but I think it's telling, just when you said 1 month away, that just sends warning bells, because I was telling you before this, there's a lot of things that they're saying about this thing that don't match up with what the actions I'm seeing. Like they're saying one thing and then the actions are completely different. And to worry about something that's a full month away that almost makes me believe they're a little bit more in the know as far as what's, going on. So I don't know. That's just crazy.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as far as Facebook. They announced that everything that they've planned on announcing during the GDC, that they're still going to announce during that time frame. They're just not going to physically attend. And then it dawned on me, Facebook's vision for VR. This is the whole thing that they talked about during OC6 this past year, is their vision for global networking, so to speak, the ability to be present at digital events without having to physically be there. This is the type of work that they're doing. This is the type of platform that they're building, so that in 5 years from now, the next time one of these outbreaks happens, maybe it doesn't spread quite so quickly because maybe there isn't really a need to travel physically.
What do they do about the Olympics, Wes? That's supposed to
Well,
take in Japan this year. I don't know that that's going to happen, man. I have a feeling all that shit's going to be canceled. Totally different subject, but
oh, they're having the Olympics this year. I never even occurred to me that the Olympics were this year. Oh man, where are they supposed to be at? I'm not even quite
Tokyo.
sure. Oh, there's no way. There's no way.
No
They
way.
won't do that.
Yeah, I have this feeling we're going to hear that announcement pretty soon as well. But
Or they would have to move it. They would have to move it and like disallow China from, or pretty much everywhere. They would have to like completely cut off Asia, would they not?
I don't know, and these athletes, they're not wanting their bodies are in prime condition. So I don't know, man. Hopefully it doesn't affect it, but I guess time will tell on that. But I can't see an Olympics happening in Japan this year. But
Yeah, it's not that long away, dude. We're talking 4 months.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, I never even considered that. Maybe we'll have to do the digital Olympics and have Beat Saber competitions and pistol whip.
old school track and field. The ones where you push the two keys to run.
Yeah, yeah. Or like the old NES one that had the pad that rolled out on the floor.
Oh yeah, dude! I used to love that track and the old school with the ball in the arcade. That was a badass game back in the day.
Yeah, I know a guy. I know a guy who will play that if you join his Patreon.
Oh yeah.
Links down in the description, as a matter of fact.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I think it's Mamefan,
Anyway,
right?
yeah, Mamefan, of course.
Oh.
That's what his channel does. He's
I didn't know he had a
he's
trackball.
he doesn't have a trackball, but they have there's ways around that with his interface. Like his arcade machine's such a badass piece of equipment. There's ways around having the trackball. I don't remember. There might be a touchpad or something on it. You can. I don't. I'm talking out of my ass, but there's a way around that.
That's cool.
I know,
though.
because you can play like Golden Tee and stuff on it. I'm quite sure.
Nice.
Anyway, again, Facebook announced or released a statement. Out of concern for the health and safety of our employees, our dev partners, and the community, Facebook will not be attending this year's Game Developer Conference due to the evolving public health risks related to coronavirus. We still plan to share the exciting announcements that we had planned for the show through videos, online Q&As, and more. And we do plan to host GDC partner meetings remotely in the upcoming weeks. We continue to collaborate with UBM, which is GDC's parent company, and our partners, and thank them for their efforts. So it does appear that, Oculus does a lot of work with game developers during this conference to teach them how to use the Oculus software, tell them about the new hardware that's coming up. Apparently all these workshops and things are still going to go on, and they're going to do it just how we were just talking about, remotely, most likely via VR events that people can attend. It'd be cool if the consumers got to participate in some of this stuff too, because if I'm not mistaken, it was GDC last year when we got our first really good look at Stormland and Asgard's Wrath.
Mm-hmm.
That's when people got their first really good hands-on with the Quest, was in GDC last year. Um, so I'm quite sure that they have a lot of awesome things that they want to share. Hopefully, we won't get it all dumped onto YouTube. Hopefully, there will be some sort of event that we can put our headsets on and attend. Because let's face it, most of the people who care about what Facebook has to say has a headset to put on and check it out, right?
Yeah. Can you imagine being at the GDC or one of these events and they've got, whatever game it is, they've Sony's there and they didn't back out and they've got Iron Man and you've got the dilemma of putting that headset on that.
Yeah, no. Right?
Because I don't know that I just don't know that I'm putting that headset on right now. It's like it's bad enough last year when it's just someone's nasty sweat. Now it may be someone's nasty coronavirus sweat, and I don't want that on my face, Wes. So I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe it was VR that brought about this whole mess to begin with. They say VR is big in China.
Yeah.
Maybe people have been sharing those headsets a little too much.
I think they need to stop. Get your own headset. Stop being so selfish. And I guess that would be unselfish, huh?
Right.
So.
Anyway, Sony also released a statement, but I didn't record it here because it was pretty much word for word what they said with the PAX East statement. They're putting their global workforce first due to the daily changes with the situation. They're just going to sit this one out.
But Reddit said that it's not a big deal to me, Wes. They said that was overblown.
Obviously, Sony and Facebook need to check with Reddit before they make such
really
drastic decisions.
Yeah, they really do, because it's just an innocent comment. They just really tick me off.
Screw you guys.
Yeah.
We got to quit reading Reddit roots.
I really do. I think I do, because like you said, my problem, Wes, is like I go to Reddit and I want to help people. And so then I say something and then people shit on it. And I feel like fuck you. What am I doing? Wasting my time.
Right. People want help. The Discord is in the description. All they got to do is click on that invite, and they can have all the help they want. More help than they want even. People are just going to be jumping from all directions to help them with their problems.
Yeah.
And it may be advice like, what your problem is you're on that PSVR. You need to get yourself a PC, buddy.
Yeah.
But people will be volunteering that help for them.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. But what I won't help you with is what game you want to get, because I have no idea what game you want.
Should I get a Rift S or a Quest?
Yeah, I think you should get a Cosmos. Actually, that's one of the things that I think really is gonna benefit. I think HTC could potentially, this whole thing could work out for them, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Sure.
So,
but before we talk about HTC, let's talk about Valve. Because another thing we talked about this past week, I think it may have even been on the Monday show again, was how it was cryptic that we got the release date for Half-Life Alyx, but still no news on the status of Valve Index production. Well, we got that news today, or I'm sorry, I guess yesterday at the time this will air. Valve Index production will be impacted by coronavirus. According to Valve, they will have far fewer units of the Index VR hardware to sell during the coming months due to the impact of coronavirus. In a statement released to Upload VR, Valve confirmed it is working to meet demand for the high-end Valve Index VR headset, and they are reassuring prospective buyers that the system will be available to purchase again prior to the March launch of Half-Life Alyx. That's good news, isn't it, Roots? That even though they're going to have fewer of these things to sell going forward, they still seem to be confident that they're going to be able to fill their existing orders within the next month.
Yeah, they got 1 month and 3 days. They better hurry. They're running out of time for sure. But that is very good news for Valve Index fans and for VR in general. So,
yeah, I couldn't come at a better time, with all of this other stuff going on. It's kind of like it depends on how you look at this news as whether or not it's good news or bad news. But I'll go ahead and read the full statement from Valve. A quote: With Half-Life Alyx coming March 23rd, we are working hard to meet demand for the Valve Index, and we want to reassure everyone that Index systems will be available for purchase prior to the game's launch. However, the global coronavirus health crisis has impacted our production schedules, so we will have far fewer units for sale during the coming months compared to the volumes we originally planned. Our entire team is working hard right now to maximize availability. To receive a notification as soon as the Valve Index is back in stock, please visit Steam and click Notify Me. So if you're one of these people who are still holding out, that you just, Index has to be it. You're not going to settle for anything else. You can go on Steam right now, click the Notify Me button, and as soon as they come back in stock, you'll get an email. But when you get that email, you better jump on it, because it sounds like they're not going to have them for very long.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, it's people don't realize how. I was reading an article yesterday, and it was talking about the production that's done in China, and we all know that the pollution's so bad that like it's in people's apartments. Like I've seen videos where you can just see the haze in along the ceiling and stuff. And they say that just in the last few weeks, they've been monitoring all the pollution that's been coming out of China, and the pollution level has plummeted to levels that they haven't seen in decades. And because nothing is running, you know what I mean? Like nothing's running, none of those plants. So all of those parts is just, all of this is ground to a halt. And of course it's going to affect things. So it's just crazy.
You know, I read that article or the statement you put on Discord about this earlier, and I read plants. When you said plants, I was thinking like vegetation. I was like, it don't make any sense. Why would pollution be coming from plants? But plants don't make pollution. What the hell has Roots been reading? Now I get it.
Yeah. No, it's just all those production plants are just putting out tons of pollution, and and now it's just all stopped, and that's just indicative of what's happening to all those parts. Whether it be, you know, I'm even seeing Sony. They say they're worried about the PS5 coming out over that 450 mark. That there's that mark, that amount that every console that's came out above 450 is not done well, and so they're very aware of that. Now they're saying that they're shooting for maybe 470, and it's just going up as time goes by. It, you know, they're worried that it's gonna put the price too expensive to compete coming out of the box. And I wouldn't be, you know, supply and demand goes for everything, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing prices go up in a lot of electronics. You know, look at what happened with video cards when they were in a short supply for what, a year and a half, 2 years.
That's true. But you know, with PS5 specifically, the initial estimates for PS5 were $500 and $600. They kind of pulled it back down into the $400 to $450 range themselves. But now it seems to be like it's coming back up again due to factors that are out of their control.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that they could get away with $500. I don't think that it's going to hurt them all that much. Yeah, it hasn't worked before, but it's a different age now, and this is a different kind of machine. People are more accepting of these higher prices now, not only because of the, you know, compared to a gaming PC, it's just a fraction still, even at 500, right?
Right.
And the kind of machine that they're promising here, it kind of seems like it would be a steal at 500. But we'll see. Hopefully that they're scared enough about being undersold by Microsoft that they decide to take a loss on it and give it to everybody for 450.
Yeah. Plus, those times when it didn't work, also you could get them all day long. You know, there is something to be said about supply and demand, and when people feel like there's something out there that they can't get, they want it. And it's weird. It's like they don't care at all, and then all of a sudden they find out they can't get it, and now they have to have it, and they're running around to every fucking website looking for the Oculus Quest and bitching about it on Reddit, and it needs to stop.
Yeah. Well, you know, those people can do what they want. Weasel's getting his pre-ordered on day one. Don't you worry about that. And you guys can just take your time. Don't worry about it. I'll let you know when you can start ordering. the day after I order mine.
Yeah, I'm gonna get mine day one too.
Yeah. Shouldn't be too much longer. I think we probably would have gotten a date by now if it weren't for all of this nonsense going on in the world. People were speculating early February for it, and we're still waiting. And I got to imagine that sometime within the next month, surely we're going to get a pre-order date and some specs for this thing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Roots, let's talk about HTC. And reason being is, you know, we kind of joked about it last week. You know, HTC said that in the coming weeks that they were going to reveal their strategy for the future. And we kind of joked that I think that maybe they're responsible for releasing the coronavirus in China because now everyone has to stay home and play VR, right?
Right.
But, you know, not 3 days after we say this, here comes HTC to shoot down our theory by unveiling their new line of Cosmos headsets. What was it called? The Cosmos Collection, Roots? Is that what it was called?
I think it's Proton prototypes or something like that. I don't know.
No, the Proton prototype.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
it
just says Cosmos headsets. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's called the Vive Cosmos series. That's what it's called.
Okay.
And when they first unveiled Cosmos back at CES, 2019 CES, I should say. One of the thing they kept plugging was modularity. The fact that the faceplate was removable, and this is going to be the most versatile headset on the market. And everyone kind of laughed about it, like what could you do with the faceplate? But now we're starting to see, as they've announced 3 additional headsets to accompany the original Cosmos as their full lineup. And I gotta say, Roots, I was not expecting this. The Vive Cosmos as a consumer headset has been an abysmal failure due to their own inability to master the inside-out tracking. They can't even get it up to the level of a WMR headset, and they have all these extra cameras on it. But what they've basically done here, or at least it appears so, is they've taken note of everything that they've failed at, all of the criticism that the community's had for them over the years, and they're addressing that with a line of headsets for every different demographic, from the very beginner all the way up to the professional level. Roots, what did you think when you saw this new line of headsets being announced today?
Well, I've got mixed feelings because, like you, I see all this stuff and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It's unique. It's cool. I'm a little put off by the fact that, you know, like I was originally, to get good tracking, you got to pay an extra $200 for the good tracking faceplate. But all in all, it looks intriguing, looks different and cool. But it's got 3 letters attached to it that I just can't deal with, and that's HTC. And it's, you know, I would love for them to have come out and said, well, first off, the number one thing we're going to do is we're going to now address customer service. We're not going to fuck you over anymore. And then I would be like, oh, well, maybe this company to me is viable. Because like I was telling you before we started filming, you know, it only takes one time where companies bend me over or I start to see everybody getting bent over. I just run the other way. And HTC has done that to me. It's made me very wary of they're just the way they run their business. But other than that, which is a huge thing for me, it's definitely cool. It's something that could potentially actually save HTC. Somehow they're still running around. I don't know, man. They've been losing billions of dollars, man. They're still out there, so.
Well, I take this as a recognition from them that they have failed. They have failed in the arena of consumer VR, and it was my full expectation that going forward that they were just going to be out of the consumer VR business, period, that they were just going to focus on enterprise, forget about the consumers, because they've neglected the consumer market for so long and just tried to profiteer, that basically they're a non-factor. They're just barely above being a non-factor in consumer VR today. There's so many better options. I mean, honestly, I'd rather have one of the newer Pimax units than have a Vive Cosmos, like the original Vive Cosmos. But with that said, we get this new line of headsets, 4 headsets. 3 out of the 4 of them are consumer focused headsets, and one of them is a budget friendly. Even though they haven't announced the price of it yet, they're calling it a budget friendly headset. And the Cosmos already is $700, so I can't imagine that this budget friendly one is going to cost any more than $500, right?
Right. Yeah. And if that comes with base stations and stuff, that's not a bad deal, right?
I'm pretty sure that it's that one is
that's
another
just
inside out tracking.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But let's talk about the individual headsets. We've got the first of all, they're all still at their core Vive Cosmos, meaning that they still have the 2880 by 1770 single LCD display, the best resolution for consumer VR on the market, save maybe the HP Reverb. They still have the hinged front. They all flip up so you can see what's going on in the real world, and they all have inside out tracking with 6 DOV motion controllers. So this is based on all of it. But let's start by talking about the Vive Cosmos Elite. It provides both inside out as well as external tracking capabilities, compatible with SteamVR Lighthouse base stations, version 1 or version 2. And the design removes 2 of the standard Vive Cosmos tracking cameras while supporting Vive trackers. The device will be available with both the full kit, including base stations, and the front faceplate options, meaning that you can buy it as a complete bundle with base stations and Vive ones, or you can buy it just the faceplate alone if you already have your Cosmos and want to upgrade. The bundle $899 US, faceplate $200 alone. So $900, Ruuts, whether you already have the Cosmos or you're buying from scratch, which seems like a lot, but that said, it's still less than the Valve Index, and it's way less than the Vive Pro package was, right?
Yeah. It's that's the only thing that I like you said with the Index, because the Index is so hard to get a hold of now. This might actually be a viable option for a lot of people. The Vive doesn't have the same problem that everybody else has when it comes to the Cosmos. Nobody's buying them. They're fucking probably overstocked. You know what I mean? They're prime and ready to get this shit out and actually be able to supply people. That's why I was saying maybe they're in a better position with everything going on than almost every other company out there, because they've got the stock and now they actually have a viable product in a lot of people's minds. There's no way I would use any of these headsets unless it had the tracking on there, just because I was hesitant to go to the Rift S because of the tracking, because I didn't know if it was going to be as good as the outside in, and it's clearly not on the Cosmos. So,
well, that's the thing, man. If they could just get that software in line and get this tracking to where it works, at least on the level of WMR, then this would be a great headset. I mean, this is versatile, man. You can use it at home with the base stations and have that perfect one-to-one tracking. And then if you want to take it to a buddy's house that maybe don't have base stations, you don't need them. You can just take it. It'll track itself, right? So, I mean, there's a lot to like here. If they could just managed to get their software engineers to figure out this enigma that's inside out tracking. You'd think at some point they're going to be able to do that, right?
They just need what they need is they need just a good week or two to shadow somebody from Oculus, steal the ideas, and go back to China and just slap it in there. They're good, man. They just need to figure.
I guarantee you that they've already been 6 months trying to reverse engineer the Oculus SDK, right?
Yeah. But at some point they'll get it, hopefully. And I don't know. You said something earlier when you were talking about the Elite. You said something about the Vive wands, and I don't know if you meant to say are they selling those anymore, or is it just the controllers, or do they consider the controllers wands?
I think the XR, not the Elite one. I think it's the XR that comes with the Vive ones. Let me see here. One of them comes with the original Vive ones.
It might have been the Elite because that's what you just had read. So,
yeah, I think it was the Elite because the XR is inside out track. So yeah, it's the Elite. I think with the bundle with this one is going to come with version 1 Steam lighthouses, and it's also going to come with the original Vive ones instead of the Cosmos controllers. So
cool.
All right, so that moves us on to the Vive Cosmos XR. And this one's interesting, Roots, because this one is primarily meant to be used for mixed reality use cases, likely geared toward enterprise applications. And this is a weird looking thing, Roots, but the design features 4 cameras for inside out tracking and then 2 dedicated higher quality cameras just for high quality pass through, so that you can use this for AR applications as well as VR. HTC states that these allow a near complete pass through field of view that utilizes the majority of the VR display, offering up to 100-degree field of view. The Vive Cosmos XR will be available in both the headset bundle and the single faceplate versions, depending on whether or not the customer already owns the system. So this is their enterprise solution. And what's interesting about this, Roots, I think the whole bundle is going to cost $1,000 for this, just like the Valve Index. But as far as VR headsets go, this promises to be the most far advanced when it comes to AR, XR, MR, whatever you want to call it, actually being able to do high quality stereo color pass through. This is the one.
It just makes you wonder if anybody will utilize it. You know, it'd be a good toy. It'd be nice. And I mean, pass through the way it is now on the Rift S, you know, is better than the Quest, and it's not as good as like normal, you know, video. But I don't know what benefit being able to see pass through in color outside of, like I said, gimmicky. Like maybe there's something they can do, they can use it for. But I don't know. Do you have some ways you think that they would use it, or?
Well, the idea is to compete with Magic Leap and with the Microsoft HoloLens with AR applications.
See, yeah, but I think that sounds good in theory. I just don't think that they're going to outdo those two companies that are focusing only on AR versus this is like a side thing. But I don't know how good it is. I think it's one of those things that they throw in there, kind of like Tobii eye tracking, when it sounds good, but nobody's using foveated rendering, so you know there's no need for the eye tracking yet, type of thing. Or you know, in that particular instance, anyway. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, only time's going to tell what software developers are able to do with this hardware. But honestly, though, I think that this is the direction that all headsets are going to end up. They're all going to be perfect stereo color pass through, and in the end, that's kind of the end goal, right?
Yeah, eventually. And it makes you wonder: do they have like if I went out and bought a Cosmos, do they have a kit that lets me buy every faceplate? And you have the kit and then all 4 plates, or do you have to buy them each individually?
Well, I think there's only really 3 plates. I think that the Vive Cosmos Play, which we're about to talk about, if you have an original Cosmos, there's no way you would want to downgrade to what that
Mm-hmm.
is. So you've got your original Vive Cosmos faceplate with the 6 camera inside out tracking. You have the Elite faceplate, which allows the outside in tracking. And then you have this one here, which allows for the pass through. So I would imagine that you probably would be able to bundle the two that you don't have already into a bundle together and maybe get them for $350. But that's just me. It's just speculation. I haven't read anything to that effect yet.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense, right? If you want to have all this capability, you're marketing your headset as the transformer, that can do all this different stuff. It's versatile. Well, it's not versatile if you don't have all the faceplates, right?
That's how I would be. If I had it, I'd have to have all of them, so I could switch them out. And so,
And that honestly, if it worked, if everything worked the way they say, I mean, is there any other headset on the market that's as desirable as this with all these different capabilities?
no, I mean, it definitely is in a move in the right direction. And if they could get their customer service under control, then I would even consider maybe getting one of them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. If they can get their software in check, their customer service under control. And honestly, I don't really have that big a beef with their pricing this generation. The pricing has actually been pretty fair, which was always, before Cosmos came out, the pricing was my only complaint with them. I always felt like they were ripping people off. I mean, I guess with the product that doesn't work, they're still kind of ripping people off. But if it worked the way it's supposed to work, I feel like the prices are fair this time
I
around.
think they wanted to be the Apple of VR, and they wanted to have a product that people will overpay because of a name that doesn't justify the price. So that's my.
Well, I think really what's plaguing them more than their own failed policies over the last few years, not more so, but in addition to, is just their inability to see where the market was going to go. They had no idea what was about to happen with Oculus taking the route to affordability and accessibility, and Valve jumping in the market with their own headset for the high end. It kind of just pushed them out and left them in no man's land, didn't it?
Yeah, I love the Valve move, because it was just basically you watching somebody flush your shit down the toilet, and they're like, you know what, fuck you. We're gonna make our own headset. We're gonna cut you out, and we're just gonna drive you into the dirt. Basically, I mean, they just took a huge chunk out of HTC, and they deserved to get a chunk. I mean, they really did. They took the best headset on the market that they had handed to them, and then they just fucked it away. And then Index just said, "Screw you." So I like it.
Right. They took Valve's technology and tried to squeeze every dollar that they could out of it, whether that be by skimping on customer service or price gouging at the marketplace. They did everything they could anti-consumer, and now they're reaping the benefits from that. They're sowing what they've reaped, and fortunately, it looks like they've learned their lesson, because the final edition in the Vive Cosmos series is the Vive Cosmos Play. This headset is squarely aimed at introducing VR to new customers. The design is a stripped back model with only 4 inside out tracking cameras and no external headphones. Roots, this is something we've never seen HTC do before, and that is catered to the low end. Cater to those who don't have $6, $8, $1,000 to spend on VR. They're stripping it back. They're pulling a couple of cameras off. They're taking the headphones out and saying, "Here, guys, here's something that you can afford." And taking their failed software out of the equation, they should be able to get a pretty serviceable tracking solution with 4 cameras when WMR gives you, quote, good enough tracking with 2, right?
How many does the Rift S have? 6? 5?
Rift S has 5. Oculus Quest has 4.
Okay. So
Just like this.
what's the cost on this?
They have not said yet, but I gotta imagine it's going to be somewhere between $400 and $500.
Yeah, it's going to be more than a Rift S, and it just excludes itself out from my, because it's going to have, like you said, shitty tracking. I mean, you said it nicer than that, but I can't imagine it's going to be better than the Cosmos if it's losing cameras. Right, or is that what it started on the Cosmos with 4 as well? I don't know, man. It just, everything about it, everything that gets shit upon the Rift S, it has the same shitty audio, or at least I would imagine it does. It's in the headband.
No, this has. I don't think this one has any audio whatsoever on it. It just has a jack.
So you just got to plug it in. So you don't even get audio on this. So then they're going to sell you a $200 audio jack or something that.
Right. Well, at the old HTC, that's exactly what they would do. They would sell you an alternate strap for $130 to put on it that has headphones.
Yeah, no, I don't. To me, I don't see it being marketable. You know, aside from the fact that you can take this and you can slap the new plates on it. Correct, or am I incorrect on that?
I don't think you can even do that with this one. I think that this is a standalone
DOA.
just for
DOA.
There's no upgrading it.
Dead on arrival, man. I don't see there's not place for this, man. Unless you can't get the Rift S. Arguably, granted, I'm assuming, you know, like you said, all the stats, you know, the lens is amazing and all that. But if the tracking's that bad, it's got no audio. I don't know, man.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, Roots, and we're gonna assume that the tracking works on it, okay? Because it should work, because shit's supposed to work, right?
Right.
We're gonna assume that the tracking works. The audio is not that big a deal because Rift S audio is shit. I would never play the Rift S without headphones ever.
See,
Quest is okay.
I do it
Rift
all.
S sucks.
I put the Rift S headphones on for a select handful of games, or if I'm going in to a place where I want to listen, talk to people or whatever, like in alt space or whatever. But for the most part, I don't even use it. I like not. There's something to be said about the reason why the Index feels so good. From what I've heard, of course I haven't worn it, is the headphones aren't touching your ears, but you get that superior audio. It gives you that immersion of not having headphones on. Same thing with the Rift S. And granted, it's not as good as having headphones on, but I can still get that immersion. If I can't even get that at all, and I have to take an aftermarket approach, I don't like wearing headphones with my Rift S. It's a pain in the ass. Every time I put it on and take it off, it's an extra fucking moving around, and it's a lot more friction than you would think. So.
I understand completely what you're saying, because when I play Oculus Quest, half the time I don't wear headphones with that. I don't, it's not loud enough with the Rift S. It's maybe I'm deaf. Maybe I saw Pantera one too many times. In fact, I know I saw Pantera one too many times, but it just don't work for me. The Quest does, the Rift S don't, and I would hope that got corrected. It is better than it was at launch. I'll give it that. It's still not good enough. But back to playing devil's advocate for why someone would want to buy this. The resolution on this display is far superior to that of the Rift S, and it runs at 90 hertz instead of the 80 hertz that the Rift S runs at.
See, that's the thing, is like, do you, and of course I wouldn't know for sure because it's been a while, but have you noticed a difference between your Rift S and your CV1, 90 to 80 to 72? I mean, I know everybody, it's so bizarre because we have so much doublethink going on in this world. Like, at the same time as people are saying 72 is no big deal, they'll make the argument of why 90 is better than 80. And it's like, I don't get it. Like, it's either a factor or it's not. I don't seem to notice any difference between 90 and 80. I was worried at one time, but I wouldn't think, for me anyway, that wouldn't be a selling point to go to 90. Now, if you went up to saying you're going to 120, 140, people do say that there's a difference there. But again, we run into hardware issues as far as maintaining that balance. So,
well, I can say definitively that I have noticed a difference between my CV1 and my Rift S. And the difference is that my Rift S is way better than my CV1 ever was. It's not even close. Big upgrade.
Yeah, same thing. So I don't know. I mean, if the resolution is that much better and it looks amazing, I could see that being, I'm just not a purist. I'm not, there's people that, oh man, I got to get the reverb because it's got the best screen out there, but everything else about it sucks dick. No, man, I want the overall package. I'll take really good resolution versus the best if I've got to sacrifice tracking, or I've got to sacrifice audio, or I've got to sacrifice all these different things. At some point, yeah, and it's more expensive, right. At some point, to me it just doesn't. This particular one of all the 3 or 4 just seems to not fit as well. But that's just my opinion.
Anyway, I think it's a move in the right direction for HTC. They seem to be trying to address all of the things that they've been criticized for, all the things that they've failed at over the last couple of years. Only time will tell if they're able to get a handle on inside-out tracking. Only time will tell if their customer service improves, and only time is going to tell what the price of this headset's going to be. It kind of makes me a little leery that they haven't said what the price is going to be for it, because it kind of makes me feel like it's the old HTC trying to figure out how much they can charge for it. Like they did with the Cosmos. How much can we charge for it and not get reamed out too much?
Yeah.
Another thing that's makes me a little leery on this one is they suggest that Vive Cosmos Play is ideally suited for entry-level VR experiences like Viveport Video, Angry Birds VR, and The Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets. So they're kind of like giving examples of all of these not so demanding games, which makes me question, is that because the tracking sucks too bad to play like a real game?
How do you play Angry Birds with shitty tracking though? Like you need to be able to grab that thing and maneuver around, and I would imagine that's going to be bad, right? Not with bad tracking, it would get that weird aiming thing. So,
but it's stationary. It's not like room scale. You're not moving around and stuff. It's a stationary.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you're having the one and you're moving your hands.
Oh yeah, you're talking about occlusion.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
So it's I would imagine that would just be an issue. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe their tracking is just so amazing now, and I don't know. They just need to send Ruuts a Vive Cosmos Elite to check out, and then if it's good enough, I'll start raving about them. But
well, sure, we'll check them all out and give an honest opinion about it, right?
Yeah, I'll even try to sweaten it and see if I can make it destroyed like MRTV. So
right. Anyway, that's the Vive Cosmos series. Good news, much better than I was expecting for them. I honestly expected them just to fold up and say, you know what, we're just doing high-end stuff from now on. So kudos for them for hanging in there. Let's see how well it works out.
Yeah, at least they're giving us options. I think options are always good, right? So
100%. But that's not all they told us about Ruuts, because we also learned about HTC Vive Project Proton. And what this is a prototype, a mock-up, if you will, that was originally due to be unveiled at the now canceled Mobile World Congress. Project Proton is in fact 2 headsets designed to serve 2 slightly different purposes. Project Proton is a prototype of a future XR glasses style device from HTC Vive that we hope to hear feedback on from the community as we continue to work on the product. So they're saying this is the next gen. This is what's coming. The one on the left there you see is a standalone device. Everything's, all the bits and pieces are kind of in the back of the headset to provide some weight stability so that it's comfortable. And the one on the right is actually tethered to a smartphone or a computer, much lighter, more like a pair of goggles or glasses. These are again, these are just mock-ups. They're not functioning products yet. They're hoping for feedback from the community to help them mold what these products turn out to be.
Yeah, I like the back of the left one. It looks like it really would be comfortable for your head, right? Like just especially if it was shaped, head shaped, like kind of angled a little bit. You could see it like really nuzzling your head, holding it really well. So
yeah. Well, what I really like about them is not only do they look like sunglasses, but behind that shiny material there are tracking cameras. So there's cameras all over this thing, or at least two of them that you can even see in the picture there. But they're not very visible to the naked eye, which I think is really cool.
it'd be cool as if that one on the right was attached to a little puck like processor. And then you'd have your portable, but you could man, just think what you could do. Especially if you put a battery in with that graphite or graphene or whatever. What was it called?
Graphene.
Yeah, graphene batteries, man. You add that in there and fuck. I'm excited about the future, although we don't have the parts anymore from China, so we're screwed.
Well, there you go. This is the type of feedback they want. They want to know what the community wants. We want graphene pucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I want a graphene battery and everything. So if you don't know what graphene is, look it up. It's well worth it.
Anyway, very similar design to Microsoft HoloLens 2 or Pico Neo 2 that we saw at the CES in January. Also very similar form factor to the Microsoft, what's it called? What's the latest one called? The Microsoft prototype? Not Microsoft. Oculus prototype. Is a Half Dome? Or am I thinking it's something
I'm not sure what it's called.
I think it's Half Dome.
I think
right?
so.
Half Dome 3, I think is what it's called. The one that has varifocal lenses. Looks a lot like this, actually.
Okay.
And it excites me, Roots, that this is where we're going. We know that Oculus has a working prototype that looks like this. We already know that Pico Neo is a product that's getting ready to hit the market that looks like this. And while these pictures that we're looking at are just renderings, computer renderings, they did have working prototypes that they were going to bring to Mobile World Congress. So at least in some functionality, they do have usable products right now that they could theoretically produce.
Yeah. Well, as far as we know, we were going to bring it to the show. We're not showing up to now, but yeah, you know. But it's definitely very exciting though.
And again, who's to say that it wasn't HTC who released that virus in the first place, just to keep people at home playing VR, just so that they could cancel the Mobile World Congress and not have to show off the things that they don't really have.
Well, plus they knew that Valve would be short and Quest of products, so that they would be the only ones that. Oh wait, none of this could have been pre-thought, I don't think, but.
Right. It just seems like a perfect storm to me, Rich.
Yeah, it's all evening out. It's definitely shaping up pretty good for them in that respect, anyway.
Anyway, I'm not going to go into too much detail on here because it's mostly speculation at this point. These products are far off into the future. I just wanted to point them out because this is just another in a long line of examples of products that exist today, prototypes, but they exist today, and this is clearly the direction we're going. And I feel like this is the direction that we need to go if VR is going to be a mainstream viable product.
Yeah, I need to feel like I'm not wearing anything on my face at some point. Because I was just talking to a gaming science teacher about this the other day, and we were just saying how there's that friction, right? Even if it's like the Quest or whatever, just the thought of putting on your headset, it's such a bulky thing at times that you just don't feel like wearing it, and then you just don't play VR, and it sucks.
Yeah. Imagine if it was just a pair of glasses on your nightstand.
Yeah, you just put them on, slap them on, plug it into your puck, and go, right? Yeah. So, and I mean, everything's getting so much. Yeah, everything's getting so thin. That graphene battery, it's so thin. The material is stronger than steel. And, imagine what all these different materials they're making these things out of, how light they're going to be, and you know, these varifocal lenses being able to be put into maybe even into the actual lens of the glasses, you know. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about the lens technology, the display technology getting tinier and tinier, the batteries, and you know, and then there's 5G and the chipset, the new Qualcomm chipsets with the 5G compatibility. That, I mean, hell, you may not even need to tether to anything by the time these come out.
Yeah, yeah. At some point, we're going to reach a point where the chips will be so good that you could run them on a PC, but why would you? Like, you know what I mean? You can only get so sharp, so clear. So
yeah. So anyway, I haven't had a whole lot to say good about HTC over the last year or two. But kudos, HTC. I like your vision. I hope it works out for you. I feel like these guys have had enough. I feel like they've got what's coming to them
right.
at this point, and I'm not going to hold a grudge. Hopefully, they're able to rebuild, and hopefully, they do right by the people next time around.
Yeah, fix your customer service, and I might go back. Well, actually, I never went to you to begin with, so.
Right.
But that's just my life motto is, if your company sucks customer service wise, why would I give you my money? Why would I put myself in a position to where I might have to hope you honor your agreement? It's not going to happen.
I think a great man once said, well, maybe not a great man, Butthead once said, I don't like stuff that sucks.
Yeah, I don't either.
And I think that's those are words to live by, Ruuts.
Yeah, I think so too. I never knew Butthead said that though. Yeah.
I don't like stuff that sucks.
I don't either.
Anyway, let's move on. Let Ruuts. Coronavirus hardware. Damn it! Let's talk about some games, man.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start by talking about Boneworks. It was just a week ago on this very program that we reported that the mid-level save functionality was in beta testing and available to the public. Anybody who wanted to opt in to the beta testing channel could go ahead and start using the mid-level saves. Well, fast forward a week and Stress Level 0 releases the full update to the world. And, you know, we said it last week that the mid-level saves wasn't necessarily what they were working on anymore, that was functional, but they were shoring up some of the other things that they wanted to put in this update. And boy, did they put a lot in here that we weren't expecting, Ruuts. There's not only the save spots, but there's a new brawl mode. There's improved climbing stability, which to me is just as big as the save spots, and a couple of new features for the sandbox mode, as well as a number of other adjustments and fixes, quality of life improvements. Ruuts, I haven't been into the game to check out any of this stuff yet, but I understand that you did spend a few minutes in it earlier today, didn't you?
Yeah. I went in and I just played a few levels. I checked out the save thing. Was actually pretty cool. Actually, was reading in Discord, people were saying, or a few people were saying that they thought it was redundant. It was like they were every 5 feet, but I didn't notice. I thought I saw one in the whole time I played. Maybe I wasn't looking, but it was. I just thought it was cool. It was cool to be able to save in a specific spot, throw down the gun, whatever weapons you have in there, grab the thing, it saves it. You start there. You know, I'm for one in the camp that the levels, some of them were just way too long, to the point where you felt like you're held hostage, right? Like, you're like, man, I don't want to play anymore, but I don't want to have to redo this. So it's really cool that they added that. And then, like you said, all the other additions that they've done, they did a lot. I didn't notice too much as far as the climbing. I noticed when I pulled myself up, it did pull up easier, but man, I still could not climb up that fucking thing, man. I don't know. I don't have the technique down or whatever. I guess you have to crouch down with your legs and jump up at the right. I don't know, man. It's just weird. So
yeah, it sounds it. But the as far as the save points being redundant, they're just kiosk. I don't know why anybody would complain about that. It's not like they're mandatory. You get to walk up to them when you want to use one. It saves everything in your inventory, and there's a bin. So stuff that you throw in the bin, it'll save that too. And as far as the climbing goes, that's such a big deal. If it really is better, it almost makes me want to start over, because there were areas in that I noticed in the early levels that I felt like I could climb to if I could just climb. You know what I mean? If I could just get the thing to do what I wanted it to do. So now if the climbing really is easier, it kind of makes me want to go back and see if I can make it up some of these things that I continuously fell off of earlier.
It makes you wonder what, because I know there were some things that I climbed and I bypassed some puzzles. Like, you can actually go, there's a lot of things you can skip or do. But I look at all this, man, all these weapons and things that you can just unlock so much for the sandbox mode. And it just looks so cool. Like even in this video, this guy's like putting how many people to spawn up, and just, I mean, there's just a lot. It looks like a lot of versatility. So, that alone, I never unlocked the sandbox, but I really think it'd be cool to check out.
Yeah, that's the customized brawl battle in arena mode. It says you can choose the types of enemies, the quantities of enemies, and the quantities of how many waves that you want to fight, and it takes place in the end game arena, whatever that means.
That's what this. Oh, look, ring the bell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I passed a couple levels today, and I'm kind of psyched to see where I can get, how close I am to the end. Maybe I'm close to this arena. So I don't know.
Yeah, it says the museum basement sandbox has seen some changes and will continue to see adjustments in future updates, starting with an ammo spawn machine, a health setting machine, and a few others. The museum sandbox will continue to improve over time, and it's now easier to find. And in its old place, there's a completely new sandbox called Blank Box, which is an empty room that you can fully customize. They made it minimal so that for performance reasons. So there's less to deal with to bog down your system, and you can just customize it to however you want it to be.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Somebody was saying in the Discord too that the devs were like, when they did the video for the saving thing, that they were like giving the middle finger to people or something, basically, like they thought that was funny, that the devs were witty for doing that. And I kind of feel like the devs are just kind of giving the middle finger to part of their audience and saying, hey, look, you're pussies, dude, you need to save. And I don't know, I was a little put off by it, but I probably shouldn't be, because it's the way the world is.
I did read that. I haven't seen it, so I hesitate to criticize.
Yeah, it could be.
Maybe the guys were just pointing at something and people took it the wrong way. So
yeah, true.
If they really were flipping off people, then there you go. Fuck you too. Because the way I play VR, like the last level I played through in Boneworks took me like 2 hours to beat it. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be forced to play for 2 hours to save my progress.
Yeah, you're basically penalized because you actually want to look around and not run through the game at high pace. Right. So. But
I'm excited that they've made the necessary changes to this. It actually kind of creates a dilemma for me now, because I don't know what I want to play more, this or the Saints and Sinners. I've had a lot of chocolate cake lately. We might have to go back and have an ice cream cone every now and then, right?
Yeah. I'm almost done with my cake, and it's getting really good. So.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that right now, because The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, my favorite game, and I think your favorite game, at least for the month, has made its way onto Steam's January top seller list. Roots, they're in the top 20 Steam games this month, not just Steam VR, but all of Steam.
Wow.
And that's pretty impressive for a VR game, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Just like Boneworks, man. That's what you're seeing. Like even this game in particular, and Boneworks really, just the way that I play VR games, like I'm almost done with this game. I've put like 18, 20 hours into it. Granted, I've had different profiles and we've recorded stuff or whatever, but I'm wanting to finish it. And I can't say that there's many VR games that exist that I feel compelled that I need to finish this game, because I don't believe most games are worth it. They're not good enough to warrant my time to finish. We're getting to the games are getting good enough now where, just like flat games, when I start it, I want to finish it, because it's that good. And this game is epitome of it. And, I was telling you earlier, I got near the end of the thing and I made a decision I didn't like, Wes, and it really rocked my to the core. And I had to redo it because I can't end the game that way. And if anybody's finished the game, they know what I'm talking about, and it was fucked up. So let's just put it that way. So.
Oh, it makes me interested, Roots. Makes me want to get there. It's interesting with this game. People, really, the only criticism anybody's had about it is they wish it was bigger, like the levels were bigger, wish there was more of it. But and it, that there is some legitimacy to that. That's a valid criticism. But at the same time, I've played this game 10 or 12 hours, and I don't feel like I'm even halfway through it yet.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about the depth of gameplay here and how much time you can actually put into it if you're like me and you like to explore.
Yeah, for sure. And if you listen to Roots early on when he was beginning the game, and he was saying that the humans were docile and didn't shoot at you or whatever, man, it just fucking changes. All of a sudden everybody wants to kill you, and it gets crazy. So
yeah, I found some that did not want to talk. They were shooting at me the moment they saw me, and God rest their soul.
Oh, my favorite, Wes, is when you get two different factions fighting against each other, and then you can I'm taking out factions trying to get to a place, and the other people are shooting them as well, and so I'm not shooting the ones that are going the same direction as me, because that's gonna not working. And I'm watching these two guys are fighting off at one point walkers, and they're doing a really good job, and so I take out one of them on the right, and so the other guy spins to shoot at me. Well, the walkers come up behind him and swarm him and start eating him, and it was just cool, dude. It was just badass. So
yeah, it's just such a great game. It really is just so great. I look, you feel for the PlayStation VR audience because they're going through this lull right now, but I can't wait until this game drops on Quest. I can't wait till it drops on PSVR. Everybody's going to be so blown away at just how good this game is.
yeah, especially Quest. I'm still saying, when that happens, it's going to be huge, because there's no AAA really on the Quest, not like this. PlayStation's got Farpoint, and they've got really badass AAA games. Right. This will be it for the Quest. This will be the first one to really, really knock it out of the park. And I'm excited for all the Quest people.
Yeah, I'm excited for everyone who hasn't had a chance to play this yet. I think it's going to be great and interesting to see how it goes. Also interesting to note that this Steam top seller list, Valve measures the monthly top releases by revenue generated in the first 2 weeks after launch, not the overall success during the month. So this is based on, how hot is it right out the gate. That they measure the first 2 weeks, and that's it. That's all they look at. And I think it's exciting. Like you mentioned, Boneworks recently was on this list. Now here we have another game in The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. And it just goes to show that it doesn't matter necessarily that everybody doesn't have a headset at this point. If a game's done right, if it's a good VR game, you can make money at it. And, we don't have to be, the main focus of a AAA game development company, but as long as we're profitable, we can be another project. We can be their second project, their third project, and still get great games for VR.
Yeah, it's just going to get better and better as more games that knock it out of the park, especially like ones like this, Boneworks, Alex, Medal of Honor. It's just gonna give those companies out there more and more incentive to want to get into it. So
yeah. So well done, Skydance Interactive. Your game is a masterpiece, and you deserve all of the success that you're having, and continued success. We'd like to wish you continued success as you expand to new platforms.
Yeah.
All right, Roots. Speaking of AAA VR games, let's talk about No Man's Sky, because I feel like No Man's Sky is a game that gets overlooked far too often. And luckily, they've done something here. They've come out with a new update that's got them back into the forefront, back into the minds of VR gamers everywhere. And among other things, this most recent update has added in, quote, living ships. These are ships that are not made out of metal, bolts, and nuts, but instead they are made out of biological material. You can hatch these things from an egg, incubate them, and grow them into a ship that you can get inside of and sit down in that fleshy little cockpit and fly around. This is a weird one, Roots. What do you think?
That's weird as fuck, man. I mean, think about that, dude. Just you're gonna take this embryo and you're gonna grow it up into a ship and then climb inside of it and fly around. It's bizarre. It just sounds bizarre. I mean, it's cool. It looks cool. Very colorful, and looks like an alien ship, and why not, you know? I mean, I don't know if I was going to add something to my game, if this would be what I focused on, but it's been so long since I've been in, so why not, you know?
It's pretty. Well, I mean, it's an alien landscape. I mean, we ride horses and camels and elephants and everything else on our planet, so...
I've never climbed inside an elephant, though.
Have you tried?
Well, yeah, it's true. Maybe if they could make it viable and cheap enough, maybe that's how we all travel in the future, is through elephants. I don't know. Hey, they could fly anyway. Know. I mean, I don't want to be ridiculous. They'd have to be able to fly for sure. But
anyway, oddly enough, this isn't the first time I've seen this concept. On the Adventure Time cartoon, when they visit the Nightosphere, there's a transport that flies around, and the way that it carries people around as they climb into its belly. It speaks and assures them that they will not be digested, and it just flies around, and then they hop right out. So
I thought you were going to say they climbed up their anus, and then because with that show, who knows what the fuck's going to happen? For sure.
I saw that happen on Adventure Time as well, honestly, because the party bears were partying inside the monster's stomach, and the monster wasn't happy about it because they were letting off fireworks in there. So the monster goes and drinks some lava from a volcano, so they couldn't get out through the mouth. Guess where they had to go, Roots?
Oh, they had to go out there. That's crazy, man. You know, hopefully that never happens to me if I ever climb inside a monster's belly. You know, drinking lava is not good. So
no, they had to escape through the, quote, the old abandoned mine.
Oh, anyway.
Man. That's not all. That's not all they added with the update here. There's now more features to space exploration, including new life forms and objects, as well as NPCs that will interact with you over the comms. They'll either want to trade with you, or they might be up to no good. And on the VR specific front, there's also improved controls for swimming and new water rendering optimizations for PlayStation VR. As well as a handful of user interface fixes to round out the update. So a big quality of life improvement, a lot of extra content in what was already one of the most robust games in VR, No Man's Sky. I feel like they needed something, man. They needed something to get their name back in there, because honestly, they came out probably at the wrong time, right? They came out right before all of the built from the ground up VR stuff came out. So people played this thing for a month and then they forgot all about it, or at least that was the case in my experience.
Not only that, but there's so many people coming into VR that, probably don't even know this game is in VR. That's one of the biggest things that my mind or my eyes have been open to over the last few months. Just talking to different people in different venues like the Wave or whatever. I used to feel like everybody knew, this is out or Alex is coming or Walking Dead Saints and Sinners exists, and there's just people that their whole world is VR and they just don't fucking know. And I'm like, are you crazy? So then I put myself in the position of people coming into VR that legitimately just don't know because they haven't been in this space. And they've heard about Alex and they've heard about The Walking Dead, but No Man's Sky isn't being pushed anymore. So you're right, getting your name back out there to all the new people coming in saying, hey, dude, did you know this game is in VR as well? And it's fucking amazing. It's just it's a good time. So
yeah, a lot of these new people that are coming in to play Half-Life, I'd wager that a lot of them already have this game, and they probably knew that it was VR at the time that that they updated the game, but they didn't have a headset then. Now they have a headset, and this is kind of going to serve as a reminder. Oh yeah, while we're waiting on Alex, we could check out No Man's Sky.
Yeah, and get lost in the game because I was talking about to Radio Runt yesterday. As a matter of fact, he was saying how much time this game sucked him in, and I was gently suggesting he pull me into co-op so that he can show me the game. So, because I built my ship and I took off and I flew to another planet and I haven't been back in since.
Well, that's the thing, man. This game, it takes so much time. It intimidates me away from playing it. Like, I know to get into this game that I'm going to have to really put some fucking time into it. And I don't have the kind of time this game requires. You know what I mean?
No, what you need is a developer to have given you a key for this. And
Right.
then you have to play the game. Because that's a lot of it. What it is like we'll get a game key from somebody and then we're like, okay, well now this gets put to the front of the list. And then the other ones that we've played that we want to play like this is just kind of goes to the back because we have obligations. And so yeah, I need to force myself. It is one of those games that I just need to get in and just start putting some time in. And then once I've invested like an hour or more, then I'm going to want to put more time in. I'm like you, I get a little daunted when I think about the time that this could suck up, considering Walking Dead's already put 20 hours and it's a linear game to some extent, where this is just fucking open. So
Yeah, this is infinite. I mean, it's an infinite game. Like you can play this forever. And I bought multiple copies of this game before it even got the VR update, just so I could play co-op with it, and never did it.
Well, I know there's one thing that Radio Runt did recommend to me as far as learning. If you do go into it for a good amount of time, he said to play through the actual story. Doing that, the entire thing will teach you everything you need to know as far as the game goes. Because I just want to run around and do shit. So
yeah, that makes it a little bit more intriguing to me. I do like a good story, and if there's one here to be done, that certainly makes the prospects of me getting in there a little more likely.
yeah, and you could do the story with your wife, as assuming her hand ever heals to where she can play again.
Yeah, we got a few weeks before we get to that point, but she's chomping at the bit. Like I don't remember what the unknown game that we're going to talk about on the Tuesday edition of the Monday show. She was like, "Can I play that with one hand?" And I'm like, "No, not unless you want to go in circles." You know what I mean?
What was funny with The Walking Dead is when it first dropped, wasn't it right before she hurt her hand, right? And she was all psyched to get in there and play it. And
Well, it was right after it dropped. Like she played it before I did.
oh yeah, for like a little bit, right? And then yeah, what a bummer.
Yeah.
I know how that feels because last year I pulled my tendon in my right hand and thought I'd ripped it, and I couldn't play VR for over 2 weeks, 3 weeks, two and somewhere in there, and it was like it sucked. So
Yeah, I can only imagine. Oh, well, that's how we learn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No children's toys for adults. They always end up hurting
Right.
yourself.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Stick to VR,
Yeah.
man. You can fly around all you want in there. You're not
Absolutely.
going to get hurt. You
Yeah.
might break a TV every now and then, but
Yeah, that's no big
uh,
deal, right? You know, what's worse
yeah,
than breaking your TV is breaking your controller, because then you can't play anymore. I really need
yeah,
to buy a backup set. I've been thinking about this lately, Wes. It's just an extra set of controllers. Stick it over there and just wait, because one of these days it's going to happen, and I want to have it ready to go. Slap it out and go to town.
yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, I've got that's kind of the beauty of having a Quest, is I've already got two sets of controllers here. I can just pair it up one way or the other if I ever need to.
No,
I
that's
can
true.
just.
I guess they are the same controllers, huh?
They're exactly the same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
I've had them both paired both ways before, actually, too, by accident. I accidentally paired one with the wrong one, so I switched it and put the other one on the other one. So
Yeah, screw it.
they work. So
That's cool.
anyway, let's talk about some PSVR roots. Let's talk about Dreams. You know, Dreams launched this past Tuesday, and as we have reported before on this channel, without the PSVR support that was promised to us on day one, and people kind of said that reported last week that it was coming soon because the devs said that they were, quote, working on it. And we kind of laughed at that. Like, of course they're working on it. But we've had another round of it and some reaffirmation from the developers. And Roots, I at least think that partial VR support may really be coming soon now due to all the criticism that they've gotten for not launching with it. I think they underestimated just how much of the hype for this game was coming from the VR community.
Yeah, because it's been out there for so long that it wasn't the VR community that was so hyped about it initially, right? It's been a flat game that people have been looking forward to for a long time, but as it's gotten closer and VR has been taken off and people have thought about the what they can do with it, our imaginations have ran wild. And then to find out that it's not coming with the release, it's like, I don't really care about the flat game versions of it. Although I was watching a video earlier that PD was talking about it, and he's thinking that this is going to be amazing for VR, and I agree. I mean, it just the things that people are going to be able to do, and I'm psyched. I almost want to pick it up now just to see some of the flat game stuff, because some of the games that people have been coming out with have been pretty cool already, and it's only been a few weeks, right, or a week.
It's amazing, Roots. It's amazing. I didn't play it myself, but I did install it. My son's played it for like a solid day, just looking at all the different stuff that's on there and playing it. Just tons of it, Roots, and it's beautiful. I mean, some of it you would think were professional games, but it's user made.
Mm.
And I mean, sure, there's a lot of lesser things that aren't as good, but some of the stuff's really good. And it kind of makes me salivate at the prospect of getting something like this in VR. Now, with that said, I'm still kind of skeptical, even when they do release the upcoming soon VR support. I still think that it may be just their campaign might be in VR for at least for the beginning, and then later on, as we get down the road, then maybe some of the user-based stuff can be experienced in VR as well. But who knows? Maybe they'll do exactly what they said they're going to do, and the whole thing be in VR.
Yeah, it'd be cool though. I mean, even if they just do, like you said, a campaign, it gives everybody an idea what can be done. And I just, maybe somebody will put Sea of Thieves in there. I don't know. That'd be nice.
So they did do a campaign in it, a story campaign that's like 3 to 5 hours long, I think that they said, and it looks great. It looks awesome.
But it's not VR.
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Looks cool.
Anyway, like I said, I think they were underestimating just how much of the hype for this was built by the VR community. The flat gamers were hyped for this for a long time, but this game's been in development for 7 years, Roots. It took us longer to get this than even Golem. That's how long this game's been in development. So I think a lot of that hype has long since diminished, and really the majority of what's left are us VR people going, come on, let's get this thing. So just last week, the developers stated that PSVR support is, quote, nearly done. And just this week, that has been reiterated by co-founder Mark Healy, along with some new details on online multiplayer. So when pushed for details on an exact release window for PSVR support, Healy said, quote, just as soon as possible. I'll probably get in trouble if I say a date, but literally as soon as possible. He also stated that multiplayer support is, quote, probably the next thing after VR support. We've got a community now, and we're trying to respond to them as much as possible. So sometimes they might have a bigger demand, but the biggest demands from the community are currently VR and online multiplayer. He also confirmed that Media Molecule plans to release both free and premium DLC, but the addition of VR support is just going to be an update. So there's a lot there, Roots. Not only do we have imminent VR support, we also have future support for online multiplayer, meaning that you or me or any of these other creative people can get in the dreams and theoretically create an online multiplayer game.
You think they could create? I want to create an experience with music like the Wave in the Dream. That'd be pretty cool.
You can do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
You absolutely can do it. It's one of the things they sell. It's not just a game creation suite, but you can make videos, you can make music, you can make anything with this.
Oh, yeah, I might have to pick it up.
It really is an amazing piece of software, and the way you like to flat games sometimes anyway, I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah, especially I just like to see what Wes, I like people, I think people just they have the ability to create amazing things, whether it be art, games, whatever, and taking the community and just getting to see what is in everybody's heads and just the imagination, because I don't have the imagination, this type of stuff, to create a world like this, but I respect and I love the fact that other people do. So
I love the fact that this is a complete game engine, and I honestly believe that at the end of the PS5 life cycle, we're still going to be seeing stuff come out in Dreams. They're already saying that there's going to be paid content for it, that there's going to be some free and there's going to be paid content. So they're going to create games in this thing and sell to people. I think it's awesome. And, we've talked before about how they want to let people be able to sell the stuff that they create in it as well. And they want to expand the PC. They really have big plans for it. And as long as Sony gets behind them, I feel like the sky is the limit for Dreams.
Yeah, and the hardware is actually catching up with the vision. When they first came up with this idea 7 years ago, it was the end of PlayStation 3, and they were nowhere close to being able to do any of this shit. But now we're here, right? So
yeah, exactly. And I feel like the PlayStation 5 is going to be powerful enough that even if they don't go to PC right away, I feel like the audience is going to be there and the capability is going to be there for them to do whatever they want.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When I look at the what they've said about the PlayStation 5 and just the amount of the jump in the technology, it's just going to be the consoles. This is going to be one of those big jumps, kind of like the big jump from to the 360 and so forth. The PS3 from the PS2, those versions. I think this is going to be a big one.
Yeah, interestingly, even though VR isn't supported on it yet, the default controller scheme in this is tracked DS4. So, even though you're using a gamepad, it's a tracked gamepad through space. Like, you move it and it follows it with your camera, like you're playing VR. You can turn that off and just use the sticks if you want to, But also, if you don't want to use your DS4, you can use your Move controllers today.
So
to play games.
it's already set up for VR. It's just ready to
Yeah,
get
it's
you in the
just
headset.
you can't use the headset yet, but you can already use Move controllers and the camera and the whole deal.
Well, that's good because I'm always looking for ways and reasons to use my Move controllers because the tracking is so awesome. Either that or it's the opposite. I'm like, okay, is there a way to not use these? Oh fuck, I have to use it to play Ghost Giant. Okay. Yeah, which makes me excited, Wes. It makes me really excited for the next topic because we keep getting all these different hints about it happening, but it has to happen. It has to, you know. And I think this time, I think these leaked controller schematics are the real deal. What do you think?
Yeah, actually, I don't know what it is about these new Sony motion controller patents. Maybe it's just the timing of it, but something about this feels like it has a little bit more legitimacy to some of the stuff we've seen in the past. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that I think that this is going to be what the controller looks like, but I think this technology that's in this patent is absolutely going to show up in the next iteration of the VR controller from PSVR.
Yeah, it looks very similar to the Index as far as, you know, having the strap. You got your individually tracked fingers. Looks a little bit like a Wii controller as well, which is very bizarre. But just the thought of actually having controllers, which I don't know. Is there a thumbstick on there? Is that what I'm hoping that's what that is up there. But yeah, no, I think we've been waiting about for so long. We need new controllers for the PlayStation VR, and hopefully this is going to be it or something, some iteration. You know, so
Yeah, there's been renewed optimism in recent weeks, over the past couple of weeks specifically, that we're going to get this PSVR, the next iteration of PSVR, sooner than we think. And while it may not be launching alongside the PS5, it's not going to be a full year before they launch it. A lot of people think we're going to get it that following spring. And when you see things like this, it just kind of makes you excited for it. Even though it does look like a Wii remote with finger tracking, I think this is the first iteration of these controllers that we've seen that does have finger tracking on it. And that excites me. And when you start to think back, you know, a month or two ago when the Valve people were saying that we're not going to rule out that Half-Life Alyx might come to PlayStation 5, when you start to see stuff like this, it kind of lends credibility to that idea, doesn't it?
yeah, and that's what people think. And I've heard people say, "Oh, it'll never come to PlayStation." And like we're only less than a year away from the next powerful upgrade in hardware, and that hardware absolutely will run Alex easily, I would think. So
I think that a lot of the PCVR community underestimates the quality of console hardware when it first releases. I mean, people, you know, the PSVR is starting to get a little bit outdated now, but people fail to realize that most of the technology in PSVR is PS3 era technology. This was in development back in the DK1 and DK2 days. Most of this stuff that we're still using today, and that's just a testament to how high the quality of the platform has been. Not only the hardware, but the software they support it with. I'm fully confident that when PlayStation VR 2 comes out, that people are going to be just blown away by it, including any honest PC VR gamer that gives it a fair try.
yeah, I agree. And you know, there's not going to be that much difference between the hardware as far as, like you said, when they first come out. It's going to be so powerful. You'll be able to super sample and do all sorts of shit. Now, granted, you probably won't be able to super sample like you could with a 1080 Ti or me with a 2080, but I guarantee it's gonna rival most people's computers right now as far as what they're able to do with their the super sample. So
Yeah, and then you start to take into account all those Sony exclusives that you just know they're working on right now. Like as we speak, they're working on those exclusives that are just going to melt people's brains when they finally figure out what it is. I don't worry for the future of PSVR. Not in the least. I worry for the PSVR community right now, just because I know it must suck. But trust me, a year, 18 months from now, it's going to be like a distant bad dream to those people.
Well, what people don't think about either, when it comes to Sony's got the vision. Like, they've got the VR vision that a lot of the companies don't. And I would be super surprised, Wes, if you didn't see in the PlayStation 5 early on some games in VR that we just would never think is coming to VR. Like, maybe a Last of Us 2 has a VR mode or is in VR as well, or just some there's gonna be exclusives that are fucking huge that are gonna be in PlayStation VR, and people are gonna be just losing their shit. So
yeah, man, all these big name Sony titles that they own, not to mention the fact that they own Insomniac now. And I put that question forth to Frank at the game show last week about whether or not Stormlands would be coming possibly to PlayStation. And he said today, or was it yesterday, that he didn't ask him that question because he knows even if it was, that they wouldn't be able to say it right now anyway. But I feel like the prospects are good. Not only that we're going to get Stormlands, but Edge of Nowhere as well on next gen Sony hardware, and and most likely a new IP to go with it.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, it's exciting times.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I literally can't wait for the next generation of PlayStation.
Yep.
It's almost, the anticipation's almost thick enough to get me back into flat gaming. Like, if there's a 6-month gap between when I get my PlayStation and when I get a next gen headset for it, I'm going to find it difficult not to try out some of these next gen flat games, Roots.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Well, why not? I mean, that's the thing is, like, the more I play VR, the longer I'm in it. I had my moments in the first 6 months, 9 months, whatever, where if it wasn't VR, it just was worthless. And then it reversed as I started to realize that a lot of these games are just shallow as far as the depth of them. There's so much in a lot of these flat games that just doesn't exist in the VR as far as content wise. And I really can see a day as the content starts to get like Saints and Sinners, or what I would imagine Alex is going to be like, to where I would be going back against doing that. I won't want to go into flat games anymore because there'll be no reason to. But right now, there just isn't the pull. Doesn't have the continuous pull, I guess. So.
Right. Well, only time will tell. I look forward to seeing my old favorites on some real legit hardware, seeing what they look like. And then when the new headset comes out, not only do I look forward to my new games, but I look forward to my sequels, man. I want my sequels so bad. I can taste it.
Farpoint 2.
Farpoint, Astrobot, Rush of Blood. God, in a perfect world, here they lie, but I don't believe we'll ever get a sequel to that. But I look forward to just seeing that with PC level graphics. It's beautiful as it is.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the beauties of some of these PlayStation VR games coming over to PC, like Tetris Effect or whatever. Just being able to crank it up, so being able to do it on the native hardware, or at least the system, would be good. So
yeah, I can't wait. Anyway, this controller looks promising. I really don't think that this is what it's going to look like, but I think it's a very good possibility that we have individual finger tracking, and it's full finger tracking even when you're not touching it, just like the Valve index controllers. So it detects the position of your fingers from open all the way to closed. So awesome.
So you can flip people off.
So you can do this to Reddit.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck you, Reddit.
Anyway, Roots, we have some talented gamers in our community, and never was that more obvious than in the days following the release of Pistol Whip. Drillo was pretty much putting everybody to shame, putting us all down when we felt like we were doing pretty good. Drillo would jump up and take the leaderboard spot back, and then came Shiny Robot, and it all changed. Then all of a sudden, nobody wants to play Pistol Whip anymore. Well, guess what? I can give you 10,000 reasons why you might want to rethink that and get back in the Pistol Whip roots, because an open Pistol Whip tournament has been announced with over $10,000 of winnings available, free to enter.
Wow. Are you going to enter? You doing
Hell
it?
no. I don't have that kind of time, bro. I got a show to put on. I can't put literally, if you're going to do something like this, you need to start now, and you got to play Pistol Whip. That's pretty much all you're going to play for the next 2 months is Pistol Whip, right?
I don't know that I like Pistol Whip that much, though. I like it, but not enough to play it day in, day out only.
I'm sure I would enjoy myself thoroughly, but I just don't have time for it, man. I got a show to put on, man. We can't have the Pistol Whip show for 2 solid months, right?
Yeah, plus I don't want to wear a suit all the time. Or I guess you don't have to wear a suit unless you're doing an early video.
Not unless you want to be a professional.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that Springboard VR, the content distribution platform for VR arcades, has partnered with Cloudhead Games and esports organizers, the Virtual Athletics League, to bring a Pistol Whip tournament next month to more than 500 arcade locations, as well as at-home players. The competition is slated to take place over 3 weekends in March, including an at-home section to open to anyone March 13th through the 14th, and a global VR arcade section co-hosted by Springboard VR from March 18th through the 22nd. The grand finals are set to take place in Salt Lake City, Utah on March 29th, and will include the top 3 finalists. Outside of an all-expense-paid trip to Salt Lake City, tournament participants will be vying for cash prizes and other giveaways such as an Oculus Rift S, various swag, custom mixed reality avatars, and other VIP packages. Roots, a whole host of prizes here, and you can do this thing from your home. I mean, if you make it to the finals, you do have to go to Salt Lake City to compete, but it's an all-expense-paid trip. They're going to give you a Rift S. They're going to give you a bunch of swag and a whole bunch of money as well.
Yeah, it sounds good. If I was good at it, I'd be all over this, man. Let's look at the this is the breakdown, right?
Yeah, these are the prize pools. As you can see up there, the home players, first place $500, second place $400, third and fourth and fifth all get $300, and then 6th, 7th, 8th gets $200, $100, $100. Those are just for the first round. From at home, everyone's splitting $2,500. The arcade tiers are exactly the same as that, also splitting $2,500, and then the 3 top players from both pools will go to the finals in Salt Lake City. There's a $5,000 cash pool that's going to have some kind of split done. I guess everybody gets an Oculus Rift S, and everybody gets the all expenses paid trip, among other things. Roots for a free tournament is pretty badass.
Yeah, and you get a free all expense paid trip to Salt Lake City, Utah, man. Like, who doesn't want to go to Salt Lake City? Go check out the temple and the
home of polygamy.
Yeah, home of the I won't even go there. But yeah, no, it sounds good, man. Like, I'm a little upset that I'm just not as good as I should be. I should have been practicing. I could have been doing this. I could have been playing this for months. I could go in there. I could be number 1 and win $5,000 and get an Oculus Rift S.
You got like a month to practice. I mean, it's not too late.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. That'd be weird, though. I think it'd be weird to travel somewhere. Like, I don't know if I'm cut out to be in some tournament that's It just seems like it'd be weird to do the game in front of all those people. You know, like they have these tournaments where people show up and they do all the game in front of everybody, and it just seems weird to me. So I don't know.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to be interested to see? If the theories are true, then we would expect that all three finalists are going to be using some kind of Steam VR headset, because the outside in tracking with the lighthouses is so far superior, and the quick high refresh rate of the Valve Index is so far superior. We would expect that those players are going to blow away everybody else.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. You know, I was watching a video a while back with Shroud and the people, they were just showing the difference on FPS, just normal FPS games, 60 versus 140 or 120 or whatever it was, and it just, there really is a difference. Your eye just you were able to shoot things quicker. So I would imagine it exactly what you said. If not only that alone, not even the tracking. I think the Rift S could handle the tracking part of it, but the refresh rate, I think, would give the Index a advantage. So,
well, we shall see. We should be able to get. Hopefully, they're keeping this kind of data. I'd be very interested to see how well the Rift players do versus the Cosmos players versus the Index players, and then the Quest players. You know, you got to think about that too. This is on Quest. It's a shame it's not on PSVR yet. But again, you know, they've got this to look forward to. They've got Saints and Sinners to look forward to. A lot of good stuff coming to PSVR this year that we've already got. So there could be a quick renaissance of the PSVR right before the PS5 comes out.
yeah, absolutely.
A lot of quality titles coming over. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that quickly. I didn't want to go on about it too long, because I do know that we do have some talented pistol whip players in our audience. Again, Jarillo, Shiny Robot, go get that money, guys. It's there for the taking.
Yeah. And then when you win, talk about Virtual Strangers.
Yeah, of course. Plug our channel, man.
Yeah.
Get us up to 1,000. We got to get there, guys. We got to get there.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about a new game for a change. And when I talk about a new game, Roots, I'm really talking about an old game. Let's talk about Soul Axiom from Wales Interactive. This is a cyberpunk puzzler game, a flat game, from the group that brought us Don't Knock Twice for VR. So if it's a flat game, why are we talking about it? Well, we're talking about it because they're rebooting it. They have taken down the old version off of Steam. They have completely rebuilt this game from the ground up, and this time they're including VR support. This is a story-driven puzzle adventure set in the cyber world of Elysia. The journey takes place across 6 chapters, 40 locations, where you have to unravel the mystery of your life and your digital afterlife. It features over 100 puzzles and over 20 hours of gameplay. Roots, I think this thing looks pretty freaking cool, if you ask me.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It looks really bizarre and kind of trippy, right?
Yeah, it says you're bestowed with powers to assist in exploration and puzzle solving by phasing, building, destroying, or corrupting the digital world around you. It's kind of like you're in the Matrix, but the Matrix is like an afterlife.
Who doesn't want to corrupt the world around you, right? Digitally, I want to do that big time. Now, it looks really cool. And I think it's cool when, they're going to redo their game. That shows you a lot that they're taking the time to add the VR as well, because they didn't need to do that. And I'm kind of psyched to see it. I never even heard of this game, so. Yeah,
it's a cool looking. It looks like it has a cool futuristic sci-fi story, but it's a puzzle game. It's a pretty looking puzzle game. This looks like a Scion game, Roots. This looks like something Scion is just going to eat up.
Yeah, well, the puzzles look unique as well, and that's what's kind of cool. So it'll be interesting to see, what it's all about.
Yep. The studio has completely rebuilt the title using an engine upgrade not only improving the visuals, but expanding the gameplay mechanics for more systems, hence the addition of VR. Able to support HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, Valve Index, and WMR headsets, Soul Axiom Rebooted can be played seated or standing or in room scale depending on your preference. All control schemes have been catered for, from motion controllers, including the new index controllers, to keyboard and mouse. Locomotion options are fairly extensive, with smooth movement likely to be at default, as teleportation will be added at a later date. And the studio has ensured comfort options are also available, such as snap rotation, vignetting, and adjustable user interface routes. Options and options and options. I harp on this a lot. I don't like being pigeonholed into playing a certain way. I feel like players should be given options, and it seems like the folks at Wells Interactive are giving us just that. Plenty of options for all play styles.
Yeah, options are good. And I personally think teleport is dying. And it just shows you this is perfectly example, you know. It's like it's an afterthought. It's not the first thought. It's we're going to add it after we get it out there, and you teleport people can suck it, and you just have to wait. But because they've got all these different options as far as for comfort, they almost don't need the teleport anymore. They can let you locomote, and they can shrink in the thing around you so it doesn't make you feel sick. And I just think teleporting sucks. I don't like it. I've never once in my whole life, I've never teleported across a space of distance. So it's just never felt real. It's always felt weird. So
there are cases in which I use it. It's never my go-to, my first choice, but there are cases in which the full locomotion is too slow, or cases like
red matter,
like Doom VFR, where it's kind of integrated in the gameplay. Yeah, red matter's another good one. Or even like Killing Floor Incursion. I like the teleport in that game. But it's a hybrid, in that game. You can use either or. So I just kind of use both.
Or even in death,
so there
right?
are cases I use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in death. Exactly. That's another good example. In death is the free locomotion's too slow in death.
Mm-hmm.
You can't move fast enough, so you kind of have to teleport. But it's cool how they do it, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So, in most cases, I like smooth locomotion, but I like having the option to teleport as well. So
yeah, it's always good to have it there.
Yeah, good to have options, right?
Yeah.
All right, Roots, as beautiful as this game is, story-driven, puzzles, over 20 hours of content, over 100 puzzles, easily a $20 game, right?
I would think so, right? What's it going for? Is that $20 or no?
$12.99 with a 10% launch discount available. You're going to be able to get this thing sub $12 at launch.
Wow. Well, that sounds a lot better than what was it somebody else was saying was only $10 today, and I was like, no, man, I can't remember. It was a game that I don't care how cheap it is, but yeah, no, $12 is pretty good.
Yeah, for this, I think this looks like a $20 game easily.
Yeah.
I think they might be underselling themselves, and good. Hopefully they sell lots of copies. Because I'm interested in this. I want to see if this is as good as it looks.
Yeah.
And this is my sort of game, and I think I might get it.
What's the reviews? Do you know what the reviews are on it as it stands, or is it a game that...
they took it down. I think it had mixed reviews, though.
Okay.
I don't think it was all positive or all negative. I think it was mixed.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good reason to take it down and start over.
Right. Yeah,
Never
exactly.
happened. Let's start over. Fresh.
Anyway, this game is going to arrive on 27th February, so less than a week. We're going to have this, and this just goes back to what we said and what we've demonstrated time after time this month, that it doesn't matter how empty the month looks. There's always going to be games that just pop up. And for another example of this, be sure to turn in on Tuesday to the Monday show for yet another example of one of these games that just pops up out of nowhere when you're not least expecting it.
Yep.
Anyway, that's just about going to wrap up our show for today. I do have one more tidbit I'd like to share with those PSVR players out there. Coming into February, of the few titles that we knew were coming, the one I was probably looking forward to the most was Separation. But this last week on Twitter, Thursday specifically, Recluse Industries indicated that the scheduled release for PlayStation VR is going to be postponed. Luckily, Roots, just by 1 week. So the title was originally scheduled to be released on the 25th of February, but now has been moved forward to March 3rd, as the developer needs to, quote, change some of the U.S. PlayStation Store assets and wants to keep the EU and US syncs, the EU and US releases in sync. So they had to change some stuff on the store. They were going to have to delay the US release by a week, so they just went ahead and delayed the EU one as well. Not a big deal. Still looking forward to playing it, and I just thought I'd put it out there that this awesome looking February release is now going to be an awesome looking March release.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what they had to change. Like, was it like I don't know. It just makes me wonder, because when you're trying to sync two things, I live in a world of censorship. So like, I wonder, is there something that is in the US version that they didn't like and that's not in the EU and they got to sync it together? Or I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know. I couldn't begin to speculate on it. We all know how it goes when you're talking about publishing on Sony. Shit happens.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to chalk it up to shit happening. And I'm still intrigued by it. I still don't know how much it's going to cost at launch. And that's really my biggest question here, because I want to play it. I know it's a short experience. I know there's not a lot of action in it. It's mostly explorations and light puzzling. So I feel like it should be no more than $15. Let's hope.
Yeah, crossing fingers, right?
Anyway, we'll know soon enough. March 3rd, 2020, just around the corner. Those of you looking for this next week, just chill. Just chill for a while. You're going to have other stuff to play next week, I promise.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of cool stuff coming on the Monday show next week. And for those of you new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Click that bell so you don't miss the Monday show on Tuesday or any other day or any other show or any other content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. With that said, friends, we'd like to thank you once again for watching. For Roots, I'm Wes. We'll see you Tuesday, friends. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.